I'm really fascinated with the journey of, I guess, like the public persona that you decided to share with everyone, right? So it's when you have a celebrity or a public figure, it's like we start to generate an idea of who we think that they are, and then we kind of expect them to live up to those expectations. And you said something that was really interesting and like resonated with me specifically was that if you play this character for so long, you tend to become it. And I think with one of your more famous characters, Vinny Chase, like that character was so it really blurred the lines between reality and fantasy for a lot of people because it seemed like we were actually watching your journey like become famous and like there was not that separation. And I feel like I have that same thing happen with me just from the industry that I come with. So I guess was there a time where you were having those lines blurred? Like you're like, am I Vinny or am I Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, well, look, you're sort of beside yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have this this awareness that, you know, of course you're not Vinny,
Right.
but there's sort of a willful ignorance that you allow yourself to be Vinny as it serves you when it's convenient, when there's fun to be had, or it's a positive feedback loop of affirmation. When you're on a show that's popular, people like it, and when you walk into a room, they give you immediate approval, not because of you,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know you, but because you're that guy.
Who they think you are.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a incentive to play up that aspect of yourself and to indulge them for the acknowledgement, the approval, the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is people don't recognize how powerful a drug attention is. And it's a scarce commodity that we're all vying for.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so like in tribal societies when there was, you know, anywhere between 20 and 100 people living together, easy to get acknowledgement from your community because everybody knows everybody and you can, you know, you have a role that you play. So you have a sense of purpose within that community. But in our society, we're all isolated, we're lonely. And the way you get attention is by being on social media or on a television show. And so all of the attention has been, basically consolidated to a few famous people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extremely addictive to those famous people. And they just keep lapping it up. They need more and more and more. And then the rest of the people, they're feeling, isolated and unloved.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get off that. I had to get clean, so to speak.
Because it's intoxicating.
Yeah.
Right? Like you show up and everyone's like, oh, you're so pretty. You're so famous. I love this thing that you did.
Yep.
And none of it's really substantial, right? Like it's just this, it was work. It was just this thing that you did. It's not you. It doesn't say anything about your character. But then that's not the person that they love. You're like, well, this feels so good. And then especially with the introduction of social media, you see these numbers that would never exist before, right? Like you have, let's say 100,000 people liked this photo. And you're like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
Right? And then that becomes your metric for happiness.
Yeah. And it's fleeting because you got to do it again
Maintain
the next
it.
day. Right.
Right. Which is impossible.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess what was the thing that got you off of that train? Because for me, it was my husband. Like he would joke and I would come home. If I would like be working in LA for a long time, I'd come home and like I would kind of carry that energy with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you can leave Eva in California. Like, I don't want that. I need Candice back here. And he would kind of bring me back down. I was like, whoa, I didn't even realize because it became so automated for me.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, good for you for him.
Yes, absolutely.
I think, partners will do that because they see you as you and they see you better than other people. And they maybe sometimes see you better than yourself, especially when you're on one and you're on a trip. Yeah, I was floating, many feet off the ground and in the clouds and in my own grandiosity. And my partner, Jordan, she brought me down. It wasn't as kind. She wasn't as kind about it. She sort of gave me a what I call a cosmic karmic bitch slap. And just enough so that I was, awakened just to like get one eye open to see, oh man, I've been asleep at the wheel for 30 years. I mean, who knows how long, ever since I started to, become famous. So, and really love brought me back to myself, and my ability to give of myself because I loved others, not just myself, and that sort of brought me down to earth. So I had to ground myself. I had to start learning practical skills, long lasting, deep intimacy and connection with her and with the land, with earth. That's why I'm here to continue that journey of connection, not just vanity and indulgence.
And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to right now is lack of connection, and how do you find that, and how do you find purpose and fulfillment? Did you find that when you were in the middle of that transformation process and you were kind of leaving that version that everyone thought you were, which is like this playboy Hollywood type, and now, I mean, we're on a farm in a barn, did you see a lot of people that were kind of, I guess, pushing back on that and saying like, just shut up and make movies?
Yeah. And still do.
Okay.
I say that, I went from fuckboy to farmer. And and there are a lot of people that were invested in my fuckboyness.
Right.
For good reason. I mean,
right. You did it well.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah. And also I had to let go of many relationships that didn't have my best interest at heart. And it's not that they were intentionally evil, but maybe just not, they were there was a complicit mutual reason for us keeping each other small. And so you have to let go of those relationships, and even now when I return and I see people I haven't seen in a while and they haven't leveled up, they haven't evolved, the relationship can't continue. I mean, you could be nice, but it's like, I need to surround myself with people who are spiritually ambitious, who want to have more out of life and want to give and be of service to themselves, their families, and the future than people who are just looking for a good time for a night.
So because I totally agree. It's like as you kind of reach these different levels of reality for yourself, you find more distance between you and maybe people that have been in your life forever because they're not on that same journey. And it can suck because sometimes it could be a family member or someone that's been like, a best friend or what have you. So where's the balance between, I guess, trying to influence them and then just like accepting that you can't change people? You can't
change people. You can't change the world outside. You can change yourself. And then in having changed, the world outside you starts to change. So it really is an inside job. It's a personal pursuit. And I mean, I was on that trip too, even when I was in my own game. I really believed I was going to change the world. And then I was such a great guy. I was a good person because I, built charities and stuff. And I'm a UN environment ambassador and I do all these things for the earth. But it was really like trying to legislate or dictate how the world should be out there. And meanwhile, I didn't have my own shit in order. And when you meet people who they haven't been enlightened yet, it's easy to want to judge and say, well, but it's, again, you're getting into that same trip. So you have to really let go. And sometimes, you recognize that, things change and that change can be hard. And that's why death is designed into the system of life, because in order to change, you have to let go of things and things have to die, even relationships. And it's sad. And then you mourn that. You have to, take the time to allow yourself to be sad. And if you lose a lifetime friend because you've gone separate ways, take the time, take a moment to allow yourself to mourn and grieve that loss. Doesn't mean it won't come back around. And guess what? Life always does have a way of remanifesting.
Yeah, it's I think surrender is a huge part of that too, because like you said, if you try to force things, it's so easy that if you feel like you have a noble cause, that you can kind of fall into this ego trap where like, well, I know better, so I'm just going to tell you how to live.
Yeah.
But that's not a place of power, and that's not a place where you're going to actually create like sustained influence. And you see that a lot when it comes to any kind of movement right now, whether it's like people pushing for veganism or something for the environment, or it's like my way of living is the way of living, instead of just kind of existing. And they say like an oak tree doesn't have to, impress anyone or prove anyone that it's an oak tree. Just simply by existing, you can appreciate its beauty and its shade and
Amen.
utility, right?
Yep.
And it's like to be like that.
Be the oak.
Be the oak.
Yeah.
In some cases, but in other cases you don't, because those, break and not bend.
That's right. Yeah. But, I guess be authentic. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Be true to yourself. And a lot of times, just speaking of the lifestyle of fame and the pretend play of storytelling, there's a lot of fake ass behavior out there.
Mm-hmm.
The people aren't authentic.
Mm-hmm.
They're being what the character calls them to be, or what is popular at the moment.
Safe and monetizable.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's hard to be truly authentic because it may mean that you're not gonna, have the kind of success that you think you need to have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different kind of success, but it's still valid.